welcome back to the Tapper Snap podcast. This is episode 5. I'm Derek, and I'm joined with Luke. Luke, what's going on, man?
Oh, what's up, Derek, man? How you been?
Man, I've been pretty good. We took a week off, and I had a pretty relaxing weekend. Got to enjoy the fights. I even got to watch my first Bellator card in a long time since they joined Showtime. Not wanting to pay for a whole bunch of streaming services. Kind of hard to find a way to watch that one sometimes.
Yeah, I wished it was more readily available, honestly. I like Bellator. I've always liked Bellator. But, man, there's been a busy 2 weeks. We took a small break, but we're back in the business.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be back because we're coming up on a big card this weekend. Before we get too involved, I do want to say shout out to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day to all of them. It's a little belated.
Happy Mother's Day.
So, did you get to catch any of the fights this weekend?
Honestly, I did not get to catch a lot of the fights. We were a little busy, had some other things I had to tend to, but I did get to see a lot of the highlights. And man, there's some good fights this weekend in both cards, both Bellator 258 and UFC Fight Night. I was pretty excited for both of them.
Man, let me tell you. By the way, for anybody that's listening, Luke might be one of the busiest people in the world. I've told him that for the past few weeks. I really respect that he's able to keep it together because I don't think I'd be able to. So much respect to you, Luke. There's too many cards to be able to watch them all nowadays. You kind of have to pick and choose.
You really do. And honestly, if I had to choose this weekend out of a blind test, I'd definitely have picked Bellator just because I haven't seen a Bellator in a minute. You got Johnson on there. You got Pettis on there. I mean, that's a main card in the UFC already with just those two fighters on there.
You're right, and I can go ahead and tell you, I watched both of them. I watched more of the UFC card, but I caught the main card of the Bellator event, and that whole main card was really good. Michael Page did exactly what you thought Michael Page would do. Vintage Michael Venom Page performance. He was spectacular. I think the one that really caught me off guard was the Anthony Johnson and Jose Azevedo fight.
Yeah, we were texting about that fight. You were giving me the updates, and when you said, "Oh, nope, he's out."
Yeah. So in the first round, I think it was the first round, Jose Azevedo threw a right hand, and it looked like it may have glanced off of the dome of Anthony Johnson and maybe broke a thumb or a finger somewhere in the glove, and you could see him wince in pain when he threw it later in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was that first round where it was probably 45 seconds to a minute after that where he caught Anthony Johnson with a hard left hook, man. He went down. I thought he went out for a second. He didn't. I was wrong. But imagine that, right? But, man, he had him in turtle for a little bit, pounding on him, and Jose Azevedo was doing a very good job of only using his left hand in all this. And Anthony Johnson made it out of the first round, and then early in the second, it was just a 1-2 combo, but the 2 was more of an overhand than a straight. And it put Jose Azevedo out. I don't think Anthony Johnson was too happy with his performance, but in the first round, he didn't look great, but he looked better in the second round. I think he needed to get hit a few times. He's been out for like 4 years, so it's to be expected.
He has been out for a minute, but still, like him coming back in that's awesome. I'm glad to see him in that. I heard that there was another nose. There was another little boop to the nose in the MVP Derek Anderson fight. That picture was nasty.
Oh man! So when you think of a head kick, you usually think that those are going to be in a spot where it can knock somebody out. Derek Anderson ate this one right on the bridge of the nose. Oh. It was so nasty. And kudos to Derek Anderson because he popped right back up because he went down from him. I mean, who wouldn't? But he popped right back up and was still ready to fight.
No, I'd have been out.
I don't know if I've seen a worse broken nose in MMA, and I've seen quite a few. I think Rich Franklin had a pretty bad one too.
That would have definitely set me back a good 10 years in my life.
It was pretty gnarly. Thinking on that same line, the second fight on their main card, which was Patricky Frere and Peter Queally. Patricky dominated pretty much that entire fight, and at the end of the second round, opened up a really good cut in the scalp of Patricky. And I don't know if the cut man in between rounds sucked, but as they were getting ready to answer the bell for the third round, they couldn't stop the bleeding. Like, it was still pouring onto his chest. Like, they didn't even work on it.
Oh.
And the doctor wouldn't let it go on because if they can't stop the bleeding in between rounds,
right,
or they call it. So that was very unfortunate for Patricky. But it was some blood in that one.
I can imagine. So we had Pettis and... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Pettis and Juan Archuleta. Pettis obviously won that fight. You could watch that fight and you can say he clearly won. But it was one of those that it's kind of weird to describe, whereas he clearly won, but Juan Archuleta still looked insanely competitive.
Okay.
It was very entertaining.
I gotta go rewatch this card. Oh man, I want to see this. And you know what? There's one guy on this card. I thought I wanted to see him jump to the UFC, but with the way the pay is, he never will. So it's a hopeless wonder. But that's MVP, man. I really want to see him over here. But at the same time, if you're dominating somewhere, why leave?
No, I would agree. I think an MVP is the type that he still competes in while he's been under contract with Bellator. He's took 2 professional boxing matches.
Mm-hmm.
He may do some kickboxing. I think if he signed with the UFC, he wouldn't have that freedom. So I really don't think this is one we'll ever see.
True. And I don't mind him staying in Bellator. He can do what he does and still be a badass.
Agreed. I hope he gets another shot at Douglas Lima. That fight didn't look... It was pretty competitive up until that knockout. I'm not going to call it a fluke because he meant to hit him with that punch, but it's not every day he's going to get caught with that.
True.
So, yeah. I'm glad Bellator has a deal with Showtime. Showtime did a lot of great things for Strikeforce. And I think they're going to do it for Bellator also, but we're now in that... realm of coming away from satellite TV and going into streaming services. And it's just so hard to get a hold of these cards.
It really is. I have a feeling they're going to try to make it more readily available. They should, at least.
I agree. Guess we'll go ahead and jump over to the UFC event. Did you get to see any highlights from that one? Anything that stuck out to you?
I did get to see a couple. I got to see a little bit of the Cerrone and Alex Morano. I saw about Michelle. It seemed like that might have been a little bit of a I don't want to say a sleeper fight, but I mean, I didn't get to watch all of it. Like I said, I just saw some of the highlights from it.
I got you. One that you and I will go back and watch this one together because I know you'll absolutely love it. Is the Gregor Gillespie and Carlos Diego Ferreira fight. The highest technical grappling that I've seen in a very long time, and it was competitive grappling. There wasn't, until the very end, there wasn't one person that had an edge in the grappling. If I was to pick someone who showed me the highest level of grappling I've ever seen and dominated somebody, that's Charles Oliveira. But these two were very high level, looked very even right up until the end, where Gregor's pace just
took
was
over.
Too much.
Yeah. That's how it is sometimes. You can be really good at it, but whoever has the best stamina when it comes down to it, that's who's going to win.
It's actually real crazy because at the end of the first round, Gillespie got up real slow and walked back to his corner and looked like he kind of stumbled a little bit. And then coming to answer the bell for the second round, he looked a little winded. I thought he was gassed. I thought he was about to be finished in the second round, but it was the complete opposite. I don't know if it was a Jedi mind trick or if he just found a second wind, but whatever it was, it worked for him. I will say I was not impressed with the Marcus Rogerio de Lima and Maurice Green fight.
Really?
Super boring fight. I'm gonna be honest. Marcus Rogerio de Lima, he found out he could take Maurice Green down, and Maurice Green did nothing to try to get up. He took his hands, held onto the back of Marcus's neck, and didn't even try to get up off his back. It was,
and that's in my opinion when somebody who probably should stay in boxing, go to boxing or kickboxing at the heavyweight division. That's where I think that they should be. Because that's where the UFC is different, in my opinion.
I agree. I think Maurice Green would be better in kickboxing. I still don't know if he would excel there, but I think he'd have a better chance to excel there than he would in the UFC when he can't get up off his back.
Yeah, exactly.
It was tough to watch because I like to watch Maurice Green fight because he usually brings the fight, but as soon as his opponent learned that, hey, I can take this guy down anytime I want to, that's when I pretty much knew it was going to be a snooze fest from there. So, Neil Magny and Jeff Neal, that was actually pretty entertaining.
I like Magny. He's a good fighter.
Yeah, I like both these guys. Jeff Neal throws hard. Neil Magny is top tier in the division. He's a lot better than most think. I think a lot of people are going to remember him recently getting dominated by Chiesa. But he's good. He's got a lot of wins over some good people. And that first round didn't go his way, but he looked better in that second and third. I hate that Jeff Neal got another loss because he seems like a good guy, so I hope he's able to bounce back and get something a little bit better.
Yeah, both of these dudes. I mean, the Chiesa fight wasn't bad, but at the same time, on the other end of that, Neal, that's 2 in a row now. So I don't know. That's gonna be. He needs to find him an easy fight just to get a green check by his name. Magny needs to. He'll probably wind up with somebody.
Yeah, luckily for Jeff Neal, one of those losses coming from Stephen Thompson. I don't think he had a chance to win that fight, in my opinion. Stephen Thompson is, if that's a striker versus striker matchup, I don't see him beating Stephen Thompson.
Fair. I agree.
Neil Magny was just so long. I definitely think he needs to step down in competition. I would. What do you think about Robbie Lawler? That would be a banger.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch. I'd watch it.
Yeah. All right. I've been dreading talking about this next one. I actually want to save it for last. Let's go ahead to the main event. And you've already touched on it, that Marina Rodriguez and Michelle Waterson fight. It was a really good sleeper. That was a very entertaining fight. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Michelle Waterson. She always brings the heat. So I'll be interested to see, like, was Marina just more dominant? Was she, like, what was going on?
She looked a lot bigger than Waterson, in my opinion. I think some range got out there. Michelle Waterson, it was a lot more competitive than the scorecards make it out to be. They're accurate, don't get me wrong, but the rounds were a lot closer than you would think. Waterson landed a beautiful head kick to the jaw of Rodriguez that seems like it dislocated something because you could see something bulging out of her jaw. There were a couple instances, maybe in the second round, maybe third, I'm not sure. Marina had a couple blitzes where she just seemed more powerful than Waterson. She was able to back her up to the fence a couple times. She never really hurt her. It looked like it was going to finish her. Just more of an imposing will, I think.
I got you. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm a fan of Waterson as well, and I think Rodriguez, she's, if you'll remember, when we watched the Conor McGregor card, she's the one who basically had to knock out Amanda Ribas twice. Very first fight on that card.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
It was a nasty fight.
I think she's going to be in the division for a while.